Hello and welcome to another episode of Pittsburgh Sports Memories. I'm your co-host, Steve Wirt, and as usual, I'm joined by...
Hi, everybody. I'm Tim Hannon.
And on today's episode, we're going to be covering Super Bowl 43. This actually had one of the wildest Super Bowl endings ever, would you say, Tim? I mean, pretty much ever. I can't think of too many others. We'll get into that maybe more at the end. Yeah, and then I would say this is probably one of the most iconic plays in Steeler history, and it's only the second play that ever gave the city of Pittsburgh a championship, where you can say that play gave. There's maybe one other play where you can kind of say that, but not as dramatic as these other two, and we'll get into all that fun stuff. But first, the Steelers have made the Super Bowl, and so what's going on? So just some miscellaneous stuff. This game was on NBC, right? Yes, it was an NBC game, and it was Al Michaels and John Madden. Do you believe in miracles? For Al Michaels, who is still broadcasting games, I think on Amazon Prime or with Herb Street now. But this was John Madden's last game as an announcer, and John Madden passed away, was it 2022? He's been in the Hall of Fame before that as a coach, but people probably more knew him as an announcer. For as much as he probably didn't really like the Steelers because of the whole Immaculate Reception thing, he really was a good announcer, and he was fun to listen to. And if you go back and listen to this game, he's a lot of fun. He still has it. He's not to a point. I think he picked a good time to retire because I don't think he was one of those people where he held on too long and he had a really bad showing at the end. So good for John Madden. There's a lot of Pittsburgh and Arizona. So the other team is the Arizona Cardinals. And I guess we're kind of going to get into them. And it's weird. There's a lot of connections between these two franchises. And you wouldn't think so because Pittsburgh, Arizona, not really a lot in common. You think Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, kind of more regional. But for some reason, these two franchises have had their shared time together for whatever reason. Actually, believe it or not, did you know the Arizona Cardinals are the oldest continuous professional football franchise? They were actually started in 1898, which is crazy because I think when did the University of Pittsburgh started playing football? That might even be before. No, I think Pitt was 10 or 15 years before that, as Western Pennsylvania University or something weird like that. So they were in Chicago at the time, and they were the Morgan Athletic Club. They joined the NFL in 1920 as a charter member. So whoever owned the team back then was at the Hupmobile dealership with George Hallis and all the rest. Curly Lambeau, I guess, or whoever owned the Packers back then. Charles Bidwell, he had actually bought the team around 1932. And that was around the same time, 1933, the Rooneys came in to own the Steelers, and the Steelers joined. So the Bidwells and the Rooneys kind of came into the NFL around the same time, almost the same year. And between 1932 and 1988, the Cardinals had relocated twice. They went from Chicago to St. Louis, and then in 1988, they finally went to Arizona. Can you name a famous St. Louis Cardinal? I don't know, Dan Deerdorf, Roy Green? Who was their quarterback?
Neil Lomax.
Yeah, there you go, yeah.
Was he
But
famous?
They didn't do... Yeah, I guess. They didn't really win anything in St. Louis, so...
Eric Metcalf's dad, Terry Metcalf.
Yeah.
He was pretty good, but that's about all I know.
Yeah,
you're right. They were always a afterthought franchise.
Yeah. So Charles Bidwell ran the team until he died in 1947. His widow, Violet Bidwell, inherited the team, and she ran the team until 1962. She's the first female owner in NFL history before Georgia Fonterre, who owned the Rams after Carl Rosenbloom died. I think she was another. So, say that for people always criticize the NFL for not being diverse. They've had their share of female owners. Her second husband moved the team to St. Louis, so that was his bright idea, and that was in 1960. But Bidwell and his brother Charles, they both had owned the team. Charles sold out. Now Michael, who is one of the sons of Bill and his widow, he runs the team now, Michael Bidwell. And he's a third generation owner. So once again, kind of like the Rooneys, how like it's third generation. The Cardinals are another franchise in the NFL that's third generation. And I would say there's only 3 like that in the NFL, Tim. Giants, Steelers, Cardinals.
Oh, yeah, with the Maras and the Rooneys and the Bidwells.
49ers are the 49ers. Jed York is his nephew. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the
that's close. That's as close as anybody else. Yeah.
The owner of the Bears is Virginia Hallis, but she's still alive and she's 100 years old. She's George Hallis's daughter. So they're very close to a third generation. But
I thought she was going to sell the team. So the Hallises are going to keep the Bears. Oh wow!
Don't quote me on that, please. I have no idea. I have no idea what the political things are. With
they're moving the team out of Soldier Stadium, and that's a big brouhaha. So
yeah,
but I'm sure Mayor Lori Lightfoot's right on top of that. So anyway, enough Chicago Bears talk. Let's talk for the other team that was in Chicago for a while. The Cardinals on the field. So actually, the Bidwells have owned the team for over 100 years, almost 100 years now, since 1920. So on the field, the Cardinals have had not much success. They are actually awarded a championship in 1925 because the Pottsville Maroons, they cheated by playing a game against Notre Dame. Yes, Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in Philadelphia, which was another team's territory. This is back in like the good old days of like barnstorming and stuff. And it's a whole story. It's definitely weird. Their Cardinals, to the credit at the time, never claimed that as a title until Charles Bidwell bought the team, and he was like, hey, I'm going to claim that as a title. So maybe they won a title in 1933. Maybe they didn't. But in 1947, they won a for real title, and they played in Comiskey Park, and they beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And they were actually in they tried to go back to back, and they lost to the famous 1948 snow game in Philadelphia. I don't know if you know that in NFL. That's where they played in like a foot of snow. And the guy who's like the MVP of that championship game literally rode like the trolley to the championship game. It's nice. Like his wife didn't. He was like, they told us like, all right, I'm gonna go play some football. I'll be back.
So Steve, I might be stealing your thunder here, so I apologize. But that 1947 championship game is another interesting connection. You're going to talk more about the connections. The Steelers actually tied the Eagles that year on the top of their division, and they had to play a playoff game. They didn't have playoff games back then. You won your division and you played in the championship game. But because the Eagles and Steelers tied, they actually had to play a playoff game against the Eagles. So if the Steelers would have won that one-game playoff, they would have faced the Cardinals in that 1947 championship game.
I forgot it. Yeah, so that was the only Steelers playoff game until 1972, wasn't it?
Correct.
Wow. I totally forgot about that. But good point by you. So another weird connection, Pittsburgh, Arizona. The Cardinals really didn't do much until 2008. I think they had what's his name, Buddy Ryan as a coach for a while, and they had a couple. Dave McGinnis and Jake Plummer was recorded. Like they really did nothing. Josh McNown in that infamous play. So in 2008, they had a breakout season and playoff run. They beat the Falcons, I think in the wild card, and then they beat the number 1 seeded Panthers on the road in the blowout, and the 6th seeded Eagles, who had beat the Giants. They beat them at home to secure the NFC Championship and a spot in the Super Bowl. So like we said, both the same ownership for 3 generations. Both stunk from like 1947 on. And they even had a team together in 1944, the Card Pitt team. That was due to World War II manpower shortage. So That's another pretty cool. Like everybody remembers the Steagles, but nobody ever wants to remember the Carpets because they were pretty bad. They called them the Carpets because they were so bad. But so as far as the Steelers, they're going into their 7th Super Bowl appearance, and at this point they have won 5 Super Bowls, and they are tied with Dallas and San Francisco for the most Super Bowls in NFL history at this time. Okay, I know that isn't currently the case, but at this time, this is what was going on. So my big, caveat there, I guess. Ooh, caveat. Didn't know I knew that word, did you? Huh? Some more fun backstories, Pittsburgh, Arizona connection. One would be the head coach hiring craziness in 2007. So let's even go not further back because we went all the way back to 1898. Not quite as far back as that, at least this century. 2007, Ken Wisenhunt, I remember after the Super Bowl 40, he was rumored for the Raiders job, but he decided to stay on in Pittsburgh. He had a feeling that Bill Cowher was going to leave and not come back after one season, which is exactly what happened. So he was in the works for the head coaching job. Makes sense. Offensive coordinator. They've been pretty successful. He knows, Ben Roethlisberger. So, but instead of waiting to find out if he had the Steelers job, he took the head coaching job with the Cardinals. I don't know. I guess maybe the Cardinals had offered him first. Did he just get a vibe, or did he figure, hey, I already got this job, and if I turn it down and wait for the Steelers job, maybe I don't get it. So just the bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush kind of thing. Just take what you got. So also Russ Grimm, who was the assistant head coach and offensive line coach. He's a Pitt alum. Grimm actually thought he had the job, and he was actually reported by the Tribune Review as being hired. That was a whole weird thing with Russ Grimm.
Yeah, that was Mike Pursuta was the one that reported that, and he really.
Oh, was that who? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
And he really stood by that story. I mean, he said that was the information I got from someone very much on the inside of the Steelers. Steve and I were talking off camera before this episode about some of the local Pittsburgh media personalities, and there are certainly some that are just out for clicks and out for, just throw things into the atmosphere to get people to.
Mike Pursuta, yeah.
But Mike Pursuta was never one of those guys. He's a solid reporter. So if he said that was true, then there had to be some truth to it. But the whole thing was weird. And then they went with the direction that none of us expected.
Yeah, maybe, sometimes somebody else in the organization thinks somebody has the job and the decision on another level hasn't been completely made. You know?
Right.
Maybe, they were misinformed. So Tomlin, Grimm, and Chicago Bears defensive coordinator Ron Rivera were identified January 15th by the Steelers as their 3 finalists, even though they knew they couldn't hold a second interview with Rivera until the week at the earliest. Rivera never did get a second interview. Art Rooney II said Tomlin was the long shot when they began our discussions. So Mike Tomlin was a defensive coordinator at Minnesota, and they interviewed him due to something called the Rooney Rule, which means you don't have to hire, but you have to at least interview when you have a full-time coaching vacancy, one minority candidate. So they actually interviewed 2 between Ron Rivera and Mike Tomlin. And now interim coaching hires, you do not have to do that. So leave it to Jim Irsay to find a loophole. But Director of Football Operations Kevin Colbert wouldn't say why Tomlin was chosen over Grimm. And adding to the Who's coaching was the Trib's front page headline Sunday that Grimm, widely considered in Pittsburgh to be front runner, would be announced as Monday as the Steelers coach. So Rudy then said, I think on the agent's part, they tend to think in those kinds of terms. I think we made it clear at the time we spoke. So I think it was Grimm's agent who had said, oh, we got the job. But Rooney was saying that he didn't. And he said, it wasn't final. We're going to speak again. And the agent was told not to say anything to anybody. And but he thought the league. He blames the league. Rooney blamed the league. I think that the league people caused some confusion, which was unfortunate, but that didn't come from us. So Rooney II was blaming the league. The Steelers were furious over the reports on SI.com and ESPN that Tomlin had been chosen as their head coach. They insist they did not pick their coach until Sunday. Rooney blamed league people for those reports. Let's put it this way. I think I know where both of the leagues came from, and I think it's unfortunate when people talk about something when you're dealing with these things. Then it ain't over till it's over, and people were claiming something was over when it was not. So Rudy quoted the famous Yogi Berra. So
yeah, that was interesting. I'd love to read like a tell-all book about that whole situation. I wonder if it was as dramatic as it sounded, or if it just like it was just dramatic because people were putting stuff out there that wasn't finalized, and then it sort of became dramatic.
Yeah, it sounds like the agent and the league got kind of involved and jumped the gun either way.
Yeah, all I remember was like being shocked because Wisenhunt left. You really thought Wisenhunt was going to be the prime candidate, and then he's gone. And then out of those three guys, I mean, Grimm was already there. He was the assistant head coach, so that was a natural fit. Rivera, I mean, remember that was the January that the Bears were in the Super Bowl against Indianapolis, and it wasn't because of Rex Grossman. It was because they had this really, really good defense. And so you just think about like Steeler coaching, it's always defense first. And you see Rivera seemed like a really good candidate. Tomlin, it's like, who's that guy? I don't even know who that is. Right. And then he ends up being the hire. So I remember that was pretty shocking.
Yeah, another weird connection was a guy named Todd Haley, who you may have heard of. His dad, Dick Haley, coached the Steelers in the 70s, and he was the coordinator of the Cardinals offense. He was a good coordinator, and Kurt Warner credits him for being like kind of the bad guy in the Arizona Cardinals coaching staff. So I guess he's kind of like, I don't know, he's abrasive, and I think he gets things done and he motivates people and he gets a lot out of his players. But like a lot of things, I think sometimes it can wear thin after so many years. I think he was the guy they needed to motivate them. So maybe Todd Haley is the Cardinals' Batman, because he's the hero the Cardinals deserve, but not the one it needs right now. So whatever. Kurt Warner, our favorite grocery store bagger that turned to NFL quarterback. I really do like Kurt Warner. It's a great story. He's a good person. He had gone from like that to the top, the NFL MVP, Super Bowl winning quarterback. Then they lost to the Patriots, and then they kind of stumbled around in St. Louis for a while. And he got hurt with the Giants. He messed up his thumb, and he couldn't grip the ball anymore. That was his problem. So he couldn't really throw the deep pass or really much of any pass. So he was thought to be washed up. And then, they were having a bad season with the Giants, and he just said, hey, just start Eli Manning. He's not learning anything on the bench. Just have him start, and I'll back him up. So he actually revived his career. He came off the bench and replaced Matt Leinart. And he went to gloves. So he was like kind of like he went to gloves before Kenny Pickett did. And that really helped because that ligament in his thumb, and he couldn't grip the ball. And that helped him grip the ball tight enough to where he could throw the deep passes and everything again. So then there was some guy named Larry Fitzgerald. Do you remember him, Tim? He was the greatest wide receiver in the University of Pittsburgh history. He got jobbed out of a Heisman by Ron Cook and Bob Smizik because obviously he didn't play for Penn State. And, I don't know. Anyway, at this point, he had an unbelievable playoff run. He'd single-handedly been driving the Cardinals offense. Him and Kurt Warner just had been absolutely torturing people. He was unstoppable. You could double cover, triple cover him. It didn't matter. Larry was he had a really good postseason.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals were like 9-7 that year. They didn't have a particularly dominant regular season, but then they, like a lot of teams, they got hot at the right time, and then they just rolled through the playoffs like you talked about earlier.
Their defense played decent. It wasn't bad, but it really was on offense. It really was the Larry Fitzgerald show.
Right.
So the key players: Troy Polamalu. he just had a pick six in the championship game on a previous episode. That was a big part of why the Steelers where they are. This guy named Santonio Holmes, he made a big catch in the playoffs and a punt return. And another key guy that you might want to think about is Ike Taylor. Ike has the unfortunate, job of trying to cover Larry Fitzgerald. Now, Ike's pretty fast and he's pretty tall and he's got great long arms. But the one thing Ike doesn't have is he does not have very good hands. And for some reason, when there's a jump ball, that is like when there's just like a normal pass, like it seems he's okay. But when somebody just throws it up for grab, Ike is really bad at getting those. And the problem with that is the best player I've ever seen at catching jump balls would be Tim.
Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, so that's a really, really bad matchup.
Yep.
So Ike might be able to keep up with him speed-wise, but if the ball's in the air, I just, nothing against Ike. It's just, it's going to be a bad day. Okay, let's get into the game. So some key plays of this game. So here's Gary Russell. The Steelers have driven down to like the 2, and here's Gary Russell scoring a touchdown.
It's one we covered this in our fun facts episode. It's one of my favorite trivia questions because well, there's 3 touchdowns the Steelers score in this game, and the other 2, which you're going to talk about, are maybe 2 of the most famous plays in Steeler history. No one ever remembers who scored the other touchdown, and here it is.
Yeah.
3rd and goal. Russell puts his head down. Does he get into the end zone? He does. Touchdown.
Yeah, because I think earlier in the game, Ben had tried to run for one, and then it got reviewed. They called it a touchdown, then it got reviewed, and it wasn't a touchdown.
And they had to settle for a field goal. Because remember what we talked about in our last game, or in our last episode, was that like something and goal was a terrible situation for that team.
Well, even if you watch the video of that, like Gary Russell does not get in convincingly. Like,
barely,
yeah. It's like one of those ones where it's just like a massive humanity, and it's like, well, maybe he broke the plane, maybe he didn't. I don't know.
And that was 3rd and goal.
Yeah,
because I think they had gotten stuffed on 1st and 2nd and goal. So they didn't have a good offensive line. They had a terrible offensive line. They didn't have a guy like Bettis. Gary Russell was their goal line running back, so that tells you a lot right there. But they got in that time.
Now Ben throws an interception here. We'll go to that.
2nd down and 4 from the 22-yard line. Ben protected well, but then has that deflected and intercepted at the 33-yard line. Carlos Dansby with the deflection and the pick.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Carlos Dansby being very good in pass defense.
So, really, do you think that was Ben's fault? I don't know. I mean, I think that's just kind of one of those things. It happens. I never blamed Ben for that one. It wasn't a bad pass. It just kind of like the Cardinals defense made a play, and
it got tipped way up in the air, and then Dansby was in the right place at the right time. It was a big deal though because that Gary Russell touchdown.
10-7 at that point.
Right. The Gary Russell touchdown was 10-0. The Cardinals scored to make it 10-7. And then that was with like 2 minutes left in the half. And now they're going to get the ball at like the Steelers' 25-yard line with a chance to at the very least tie the game.
So we'll go to probably one of the biggest plays in Pittsburgh Steeler history.
And Steve set this up. Like, what's the situation here?
So we are 1st and goal, and this is still after the Ben Roethlisberger interception, and the Cardinals there are 18 seconds left in the half, and it is 1st and goal from what would you say? That's the 3.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Cardinals score, it's going to be 14-10 and probably going into the half because even if they score, it's either going to be like very little time. I don't think, the Steelers are going to have enough time to even kick a field goal at that point. So this is a very critical drive. You're just thinking, okay, just hold them a field goal. It'll be 10-10 going in the half, tied. We'll play the second half, and we'll see how it goes, right?
Right.
So Kurt Warner's back, and he's looking to throw a pass in the end zone. Let's Let's see what happens next. It's Tony Romo. Let's see what happens next.
Well, they can pick down here.
From the gun, Steelers show blitz. Here they come. He gets it away, and it's picked off at the goal line. There's a flag thrown on the run back, James Harrison, to run it back, and Harrison is past midfield. Harrison going down the sideline. Harrison still on his feet. Harrison is going to go all the way and waiting for the official to get there. Touchdown is signaled. A flag is down on the run back at the 9-yard line.
Prior to the pass, personal foul, grasping the face mask. Offense number 74. The foul occurred during the last time down. The touchdown counts.
Unbelievable.
So, if you didn't gather what happened from the audio, this is one of the more unbelievable plays in Super Bowl history in general, Tim. That's would you say that's a 14-point swing? I would say it is.
Absolutely.
I mean, so he was trying to throw the bold in there, it looked like, right? 81, like Madden called it before. I think they were trying to run a little pick play, which that works in man more than in. Like, I think in the interviews after the game, Harrison just said he just kind of freelanced. Like, he really was supposed to rush the quarterback, but for some reason he thought to drop back. And when he dropped back, Kurt Warner didn't see him, and Kurt Warner literally throws him the ball. And then a lot of, like, craziness happens on the way, on the next 100 yards. Like, number one, Deshae Townsend is like, hey, give me the ball. And Harrison's like, no, I'm not giving the ball. So that's funny. And then Townsend like blocks Kurt Warner. Lamar Woodley almost clips somebody, blocks somebody in the back. Might have blocked him in the back, but they didn't call it. And then Larry Fitzgerald totally breaks the rules, but good on him, runs the whole way on the sideline and might have caught Harrison. He runs on into people on the Arizona Cardinals bench. If they wouldn't have been in the way, he might have caught Harrison earlier. And he catches Harrison at like the 2 or 1 yard line, and they both fall into the end zone. And I think if somebody wouldn't have been in the way, like I've heard that too, like if somebody wouldn't have been in the way on the Arizona Cardinals sideline, he might have caught him.
Yeah, I don't know who the player was, but it was because Fitzgerald, it's not like he went like behind the bench to run him down. He just
he was on the white paint. Yeah.
And you're not supposed, if you're on the sidelines, you're not supposed to stand on the white paint. But one of the Cardinals guys was standing on the white paint. If you go watch one of the NFL films replays, you see Fitzgerald run into the Cardinal guy that was standing on the white paint. And he did catch him and almost tackle him. They had to review it because he did tackle him, but it was like into the end zone. So all he had to do was catch him 2 yards earlier, and that's a 98-yard or 99-yard return that results in nothing. The time had expired too. So that would have been a 7-point swing, but not a 14-point swing.
So that's probably one of the greatest interceptions in NFL history. It's one of the most bigger game-changing plays. And to his credit, I remember Ken Wisenhunt went in and was like quite calm about it. Like it was like, well, yeah, it was a big play, but we still got the second half. He said something to that extent. We're going to, go in and, make some plays in the second half. And I thought, buddy, I remember when he gave that interview, he said, what are you talking about? You just lost the Super Bowl. I thought at that point we'd won the Super Bowl, Tim. Didn't you? I thought,
yes.
There's no way we're losing this now. That's like any other Super Bowl I've ever watched. That's the nail in the coffee. That's it. That's the NFL Films highlight of like Willie Brown running down, the close up. That's the NFL Films music. That's, John Facenda, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's it, right? That's it.
Yes, I totally agree. I thought the same thing. And that's interesting, Steve, that you brought up like past Super Bowls, because you're right. There's so many moments. The Super Bowl where the Raiders beat the Redskins, they got a pick six right before halftime. The Raiders did. And the Redskins never came back from that. The final was like 38-3 or something.
Oh, that was that play that Joe Theismann still complains about.
Right. Jack Squirek.
Yeah, it was like they called a screen pass on their own like 2 yard line or something.
Right. It was a terrible call. But this was even worse than that, because they were in their own end and they threw a dumb interception. Here, the Cardinals were about to take the lead. they were about to take the lead, and now the Steelers have a double-digit lead as a result. Like, you don't come back from that. That's what I thought. Like, you can't come back from that. And then they have like,
well,
the
you wouldn't think
extended
you come back
halftime.
from 28-3.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. But then they have the extended halftime where they have like the halftime show. So it's like that super long halftime. And all you're doing that whole time is you're stuck with that memory of the very last play that happened was this devastating 100-yard interception return. So you're right. I thought, that's it. We won. Game over.
You know what? And probably if you had a guy that wasn't, if you didn't have the people on this team, on that Cardinals team that they had, I mean, you have Kurt Warner, Larry Fitzgerald, Todd Haley, Ken Wisenhunt, Russ Grimm. You know, you have some people that, you know, are kind of high character people. And that's probably a big reason why it's like, the more I think about this, the more I feel bad for the Cardinals.
I agree.
It's just like one of the Super Bowls, like you almost feel bad somebody had to lose it. So
I totally agree. They deserved to win the game. They deserved to be there. They deserved a lot of things because you're right. So many other teams would have just been done at that point.
Yeah, it goes to speak to their character. They were a worthy NFC champion, and it's a shame they didn't win it, but I'm not that upset either. No offense.
Yeah, I wish a
lot of those guys who I like. Yeah,
I wish they would have been playing against somebody else. Yeah,
the Patriots. I wish they would have done that to the Patriots.
Yeah, yes, perfect.
But I digress. Let's go. So what happens? Here we go. A little later, Kurt Warner finally throws his fade pass to
the rookie out of Richmond is the running back. And it's going to be a fade for Fitzgerald, who's going to go up and make the catch for the touchdown.
Ike Taylor didn't have a chance against Larry Fitzgerald. It was 1st and goal from the Steelers 1. And, you know, come on. How many times did I sit in my end zone seats at Pitt and watch him do that with Rod Rutherford against, you know, good corner? Ike Taylor, no offense. He's a good corner. He's a good player. But he wasn't going to stop Larry Fitzgerald on the fade, who's outside of Chris Carter. I mean, who else was better at that? And
no, you're absolutely right. Let's back up just a little bit though, because I do want to bring up something that happened before that. So that was with 7 minutes left in the game, and the Cardinals were losing 20-7. So like, yeah, we talked about high character and they didn't give up, but the entire third quarter and half of the fourth quarter they didn't score any points.
No,
and the Steelers really had a chance in between that time to really put the game away because they got inside the 10-yard line. But then they couldn't score because, like we said, they stunk inside the 10-yard line. So they had to kick a field goal. But on the field goal, do you remember what happened on the field goal, Steve?
No, I don't. What happened on the field goal?
So we made the field goal, but one of the Cardinals smashed Mitch Berger, who was our holder and our punter, like in the face, and they called a personal foul.
Is that when we took the points off the board?
We took the points off the board. We get half the distance. So now we've got 1st and goal from like the 3, and we ran 3 plays and couldn't get in the end zone and had to kick the field goal again. And so that made the score 20-7 when it could have been 24-7. And it was unbelievable that, because I just felt like that was really, you know, yeah, the Cardinals weren't giving up and all that stuff, but boy, that really could have been the death knell, and them stopping us 6 plays inside the 10, 6 plays, and only holding us to a field goal, I felt like gave them momentum back, and that's when Fitzgerald got that touchdown on the next drive.
And I think too, like that was kind of the Steelers' MO that year. It's like they couldn't put anybody away because they couldn't run the ball, and so they had a really good defense and a pretty good passing game and a really good quarterback, but when they just needed to run the ball and pick up the first downs and put the game away, they could never do it
because they had a terrible offensive line. It was their one. That was that team's one Achilles heel And you'll get to it later. That almost
Yeah.
literally caves in the whole season.
So now we're going to skip ahead a little bit to the next crappy performance by the offensive line. Okay, to set this up, we're at the fourth quarter. There's 3 minutes and 4 seconds left. The Steelers are 3rd and 10 at their own, I don't know, get out your ruler here, folks, 6-inch line. It's barely not in the end zone. Anyway, if basically with 3 minutes and 4 seconds left, if the Steelers get a first down here, the game's over. It's Super Bowl, game over. It's 20-14. The Cardinal, okay, you could say, oh, Larry Fitzgerald got his one kind of garbage time touchdown. Who cares, right, Tim? That's kind of, and that's the way most NFL games end, right? It's like 2014, somebody scored a meaningless touchdown. It's like when Staubach threw that last minute touchdown and won the Super Bowls against the Steelers. It's like a big who cares. The game was over.
Yeah, 3 minutes. Maybe the Cardinals get the ball back. They at that point they would have had to have scored a touchdown. It would have been, even if they would have got the ball back, it would have been very slim chance of them doing anything. So you're right. A first down here is huge. If they don't get the first down, they have to punt from their own end zone. That's the worst case scenario, right? Right?
Yeah, you would think. So here, let's listen to what happens next, Tim.
Then
They could take a safety here, too.
out of the gun, Roethlisberger is going to throw over the middle, and the pass is going to be caught by Holmes at the 21-yard line. Santonio Holmes gets inside Rogers Lombardi, and a flag is down.
Holding offense number 62.
Ooh, that's a safety.
The foul occurred in the end zone.
Safety.
Safety.
Wow. Justin Hartwig is the center, so instead of Holmes maybe securing Hardy's trophy, you've got a safety, you've got a 20-16 game, and you have a kick coming from the 20-yard line. Look at this.
That was a heck of a catch by Holmes, too. That pass was behind him. He had to reach behind. That was a very clutch play by Santonio Holmes. Boy, that guy seems to be clutch today, Tim. I don't know. What do you think?
That was great announcing there by Michaels and Madden too.
Yeah, they're really good.
Really good. Madden knew before it was even called that that's a safety, and Michaels kind of setting up instead of a Lombardi trophy, now it's a 4-point game, and you have to kick off to them from the 20-yard line. That was just described, I thought.
Yeah, so whatever, right? You got to kick off. You still got a 4-point lead, right, Tim?
Yeah, but boy, that was it would have been different, Steve, if Ben would have got sacked in the end zone. I think it was even more deflating because Holmes made that catch and because they would have had a first down. You know what I mean? If it's he gets sacked, then it's you didn't see what could have happened. But here it's literally they converted it. They did it.
I think that takes them to the 2-minute warning too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't see if the Cardinals had any timeouts. I don't
think they did because again, you heard
Yeah.
Michael say that would have basically secured the Lombardi trophy or gotten very, very close to it. And instead, I think him making the catch, them actually making the play and then finding out oh, hang on, there's a flag. That was extra deflating.
So, I guess, are you ready for some pain, Tim?
Yeah. Even more pain. As bad as that was, what happens next after the Cardinals get the ball back?
It can't possibly get any worse. The Steelers are going to pull it out. They got the number one defense, probably one of the top defenses to ever play in the NFL. They still got a 4-point lead. So they can't all be bad, right, Tim? So now there were still 3 minutes left. So now there's 2 minutes and 48 seconds left. And it's 2nd and 10. Arizona is at their own 35. So this is probably one play after the kickoff, right? Yeah, probably. So let's see what happens here.
Now they got those safeties deep again.
2nd and 10. Warner has
That's where you
time.
go.
Fitzgerald into Steeler territory. 30, 20, 10. Arizona has the lead.
Nice shot of Larry Fitzgerald Sr., by the way. It was Larry's father who was.
Oh, is that who that was?
A
Okay.
reporter. He wasn't even cheering. He was abiding strictly by, the press box. The better man than I. But the Cardinals, but Fitzgerald just flat out burns Ike Taylor. They've gone to Larry land, and it's not been a pleasant experience. James Harrison couldn't run him down, which probably is understandable. Larry Fitzgerald is really good. This just didn't, Tim. I wonder if Bob Smizek is going to change his Heisman vote. Probably not.
That was so devastating. So you talked about like the play that like could have won the Super Bowl, talking about like the interception. We talked about how like that's your NFL Films play.
Yeah, it's like down 4 with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, completing the largest comeback in Super Bowl history.
Yes. Yeah. And Larry's the MVP for sure. Not even close.
Yeah. Kirk gets his second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was so painful because it's Larry Fitzgerald. It's like the guy we loved. It's our favorite player coming back to like beat the Steelers in a Super Bowl in a game we had totally in control. Our offensive line, we did that episode about the 93 Steelers and the special teams and how they kept blowing it all season. And then they finally blew it for real in the playoffs. That was our offensive line. Like we had a good team, but our offensive line just blew it. And that's that, right? The Cardinals are going to win the Super Bowl.
Well, Ben did have a pretty bad Super Bowl in Super Bowl 40. He's not had a horrible Super Bowl this one, but we got 2 minutes and 37 seconds, right? And let's see what happens. All right, we got a chance, got a puncher's chance.
They didn't do it, and now the Arizona defense, not a great stat defense.
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Are they going to do it?
From the 22-yard line. 4-man rush. Roethlisberger buys time, dumps it off underneath, catch made, flag down again.
Yeah, not a bad start to the drive, right, Tim? He dumps it off the Melody War, gets 5 yards. Hey, they always say the first completion of the drive, right? That's the big one, right?
What's that flag for?
16 accepted.
Probably on the Cardinals, right?
This is going to be holding on the Steelers.
Oh, John Madden.
Pittsburgh.
Holding, offense, number 68. 10-yard penalty. First
Chris Kiyomatu.
Kiyomatu, the left guard.
And Terry McAuley's still a jerk. Started a riot in Cleveland. Come on.
There's been in the regular season since 2004 when he came into the league, 17 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter.
Fun fact, he would have finished career with 41 game-winning drives. He the only other two people who have more?
Brady, Montana, who?
Brady and Peyton Manning.
Oh, wow.
And it's like Manning only has 44, and I think Brady just he just had one the other day, is up to 45 or 46.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So maybe this Roethlisberger guy has something up his sleeve. What do you think, Tim? Let's see what happens.
Find out.
Yeah.
Which is where we are right now, 1st and 20 from the 12.
You know what's better than 1st and 10? 1st and 20 from your own 10.
Roethlisberger avoids the sack. Dockett chases him, throws on the run, caught. He extends the play again. It's Santonio Holmes, makes the catch, 27-yard line.
You wonder if the Cardinals would have been better just dropping all 11 guys and make Ben like throw the ball against zone or something. Like that's literally what happened. Is they got like our offensive line was so bad it actually benefited Ben, like because like he loves to run around and just throw a ball, and it's like they got pressure on him. He runs away and finds Santonio Holmes, and there's still 2 minutes and 10 seconds left.
I don't believe they're going to be able to get well, they do just before the 2-minute warning. And Ben's going to go deep downfield, and that pass is going to be tipped and incomplete, and no flag. Intended for Nate Washington.
Hey, remember that guy?
Yeah, he makes a catch here later.
Tampa, Florida, Super Bowl 43. Al Michaels and John Madden with you. What a game, 23-20, twists and turns, and just about everything imaginable. The Harrison play at the end of the first half. There's your quarterback comparison right now.
Right now, Ben 17 for 25, 186 yards, no touchdowns and interceptions, and a 73 quarterback rating. So Kurt Warner's over 300 yards passing and has 3 touchdowns and interception, which is a pretty good day for a quarterback.
Warner with the numbers 1 and 2 marks in Super Bowl history, and in a 3-point game, this would rank 6th right now.
This is just going to be a shame for Kurt Warner, isn't it? There's just no other way to put it.
He doesn't gain another yard. No Super Bowl game has ever gone to overtime. They've been close, but never into OT. It's 3rd and 6 from the 26. Card showing blitz, and here they come. And Roethlisberger escapes and throws, and the pass is caught. Holmes reaches up, makes the catch. Dansby was back there.
Another, like, one of those patented Ben. He actually stays in the pocket on this one and, like, what, double, triple clutches before he finally throws the Holmes, who makes a nice, like, leaping catch on that.
Yep.
2 timeouts for Pittsburgh. Pass caught. Washington will try to get out of bounds, and he can't. So that keeps the clock rolling. Adrian Wilson makes the tackle again. Pittsburgh at least trying to get into field goal range for one of the better kickers in the league, and there he is. And it's become a little bit windy here on a night that started completely windless. 70 seconds to go. 1st and 10. Roethlisberger stepping up. He's going to run. Not far. He's going to get taken down at the 46-yard line. And the
tick, 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 tick.
Pittsburgh Steelers are going to spend a timeout. They have 1 left.
There was no wind in Tampa that night. I don't know what they were just like, I don't understand why they were like harping on this. It's like literally 60 degrees. It's perfect football weather. I don't know what they're even complaining about at this point.
And it's interesting because so there's 62 seconds. They're in Arizona territory. They're definitely not in field goal range. But that's kind of the goal at this point, is to just maybe get 10, 20 more yards.
Yeah, and Jeff Reed's reliable. He's good in the clutch. He kicks in Heinz Field, like they said, which is impossible to kick in at this time. So I had no doubt once they got inside the 30, he was going to hit the field. They were at least going to overtime.
Rushing 5. Ben pumps, throws, caught. Holmes. Francisco falls down. Holmes is going to take it inside the 10, and he's going to get to the 5-yard line.
That's probably one of the more underrated plays of this game. I mean, that was like a catch for 30 yards, and the defender did, like Al Michaels said, Francisco fell down.
Yeah,
but Ben, that was another Ben double, triple pump play, and he stayed in the pocket though. He didn't run around. He wasn't running around. He's staying in the pocket these last couple plays.
You're right though that's sort of like one of those forgotten all-time great plays, because they weren't even in field goal range. And now they're at the 5-yard line, and that was maybe maybe 10 yards in the air, and then Francisco kind of slips on the turf, and then Holmes runs the rest of the way, and he almost scores. That was unbelievable, because now you're like, oh my God, now they could actually win this thing.
Mm-hmm.
With 49 seconds, and Roethlisberger trying to get up to the line of scrimmage, but they will take a timeout.
That's not a bad timeout to take. I mean,
Ben was running up to the line like he wanted to spike it. That would have been a waste of a down. So
because I'd rather have the down than the timeout. As long as Ben doesn't take even if he takes a sack somewhere, even if it's on third, as long as it's not on 3rd down.
Right. There was still enough time. Yeah, there was 50 seconds or 49 seconds left. That's enough time. Yep.
Watch Ben. He pumps it, then his hands are so big and strong. He pumps it like he's going outside, holds it, brings it back, and then gets it to Santonio Holmes.
Holmes has caught 8 for 125 yards, so they can't take a timeout.
I think Santonio can get that 9th catch, Tim.
I hope so.
That Arizona defense, so tough, deep in its own territory. They'll have to be tough again. Steelers spread it out. 3 men to the right, 2 to the left. 4-man rush. Then coming back the other way, and Holmes can't make that catch.
I mean, he was open, and the ball went right through his hands.
Yeah, Madden's right. That hit him in the hands, didn't it? I didn't realize that hit him in the hands until just now. I knew he missed it, but it was high, but it was catchable.
It would have been. It would not. It wasn't like it was an easy catch, but he's an NFL wide receiver, and he was. Yeah, that should have been a catch.
I don't think Ben can throw it any lower. He risks interception. So yeah, he had to put it where he had to put it.
And he was open too, and he was like had a bunch of space in the end zone, unlike the play after this.
So we're still looking for that ninth catch, Tim.
Ward and Holmes are both lined up to the right side. Miller slot left. Washington outside left. Roethlisberger has time. Throws to the back of the end zone, and it is caught for a touchdown by Holmes.
Unbelievable.
Incredible. The official comes in. Let's just make sure he's in on a play like this. Obviously, they will take a long look upstairs. Ben, under the end zone. Does he get both feet down? Left, definitely. Did the right tap as well with control? You have to have control, both feet down.
I say yes. I say both feet in, both feet down, and control of the ball.
Amazing. 3 Cardinals are there. You got 3 guys.
So, yeah, they basically ran the same play as they did the play before to the opposite side of the field. Only this time, the throw's a little lower and Holmes makes the catch. And would you believe there's still people in Arizona that don't think he got his feet down? I always thought from the beginning he had both feet down.
He had his feet down. I mean, I think the crowd that believes that is in the minority.
They're delusional. All right, Terry McCulley said it was a touchdown, so it's a touchdown, dude, in case you were wondering.
So they need 77 yards in 29 seconds. Bolden, Fitzgerald, and Breskin, all 3,000-yard receivers, line up on the right side. Jeremy Irvin lines up to the left. Warner buying time over the middle. Fitzgerald makes the catch.
Fitzgerald with another catch. He's unstoppable at this point.
Fitzgerald gets the ball out to the 44-yard line, and Arizona is compelled to take a timeout. You just have to take it here. You can't try to spike it. They have one left, 22 seconds.
So it's 1st and 10. There's 22 seconds left. I think Cardinals are still on their own side of the 50, but I mean, Kurt Warner's old, but he can still probably make it to the end zone from here. What do you think, Tim? He could probably still make it. And they still have another play if they wanted to. They have a timeout, so they could still complete another pass and get it closer. And their biggest ace up their sleeve is they have the greatest jump ball receiver of all time.
Right. That's the scary part.
And you have Ike Taylor guarding him is the problem. Is like, I mean, I'm not Dick LeBeau, but I would have Troy. Anywhere Larry goes, you go, Troy. I don't care. You're following 11. Wherever 11 goes, you go. You know, at this point. That's your best defensive secondary player. You put him on him. That would be my philosophy. And you really don't want this ball fluttering down in the end zone with Larry Fitzgerald getting his hands on it, because that's going to be a Super Bowl win for the Cardinals. Would you not? I mean,
totally agree. Like all they really had to do at this point is get another 10 or 15 yards, which probably would have been easy because the Steelers are playing way back. And then he might even have 2 chances to throw it in the end zone at that point.
Yeah, and they still have a timeout left.
Right.
So they can still throw in the middle of the field.
Correct.
Yeah. So let's see what happens.
First down, 22 seconds, 1 timeout. They have to go 56 yards. Warner going underneath. And it's to the 44-yard line, and this is Arrington making the catch.
So actually, I forgot they ran that play. They were at the 44 now. They actually got 10 more yards there, Tim. So
that's exactly what we just said there, right? Get 10 more yards, and now they use their last time out, but they have 15 seconds.
Yeah, they're at the Steelers, 44, 45.
Right.
And
So
like you
that's
said,
2 shots. That's at least 2 shots to the end zone.
At least one.
At least, well, yeah, but probably
Yeah.
2. With 15 seconds, you could take 2. Yep.
Ben Roethlisberger with a 256-yard night, 1 touchdown pass, and it may be enough to win Super Bowl 43.
You know, a lot of things in football is when you do them. You know, and I mean, there's stats and people have numbers and they did this or that, but did you do it when you had to do it to win the game?
From the 44, Breaston to the left, 3 receivers to the right. Warner stepping up, buying time, under pressure, trying to sling it away. Was the arm coming forward? That's Lamar Woodley who got there, and Lamar Woodley creates the fumble and a Pittsburgh recovery with 5 seconds left. Brett Kiesel recovered it.
I don't think they even reviewed this, did they? I don't think they even did. That's another one that Arizona fans have kind of complained about, but I think his hands going forward without the ball, and that's the empty hand. So I think that's the correct call. And that's a big play. Woodley makes a huge play because that like we were saying, that ball floating in the end zone with number 11 lurking. I don't like my chances. I think the odds are actually against you, which is kind of scary because most times the odds are against the offense in that situation. But I don't know. I've seen Larry Fitzgerald catch that too many times.
It's amazing what a split-second game that football is, because one split microsecond later, he gets that ball off. That's why you said there was a little bit of controversy, because he was throwing the ball when he got hit. So he was about to cork that thing into the end zone. So we were like a split second away from finding out whether or not Larry could have caught that ball. And I think the mistake Warner made there was he ran around for a while, and I'm not sure he would have had a chance to throw a second Hail Mary. Time might have expired right there. But, I mean, they would have had a shot at it if Woodley doesn't make that play. So that was very, very big. And that's game.
Yeah, that's game. That's the fumble. It's called a fumble on the field. The Steelers take a knee. Game over. That's it, man. So the aftermath, which was much. Let's start with the Arizona aftermath. Ken Whisenhunt, he never gets back to a Super Bowl. He did get them the 10-6 record. He got fired in 2012. He coached with San Diego for a while. He head coached the Titans for 2 years, but he had such bad years. He got fired. He's now with Penn State, actually, as an offensive analyst, whatever that is, Tim. I don't know. Analyzing the offense, I guess. Hey, we suck. Maybe we should do better in big games. I don't know. Russ Grimm, he coached with Whisenhunt in 2012. Arizona really was like Pittsburgh South there for a while. And then he went to Tennessee, followed Whisenhunt, and he's retired. I think Grimm has to be in his late 60s by now, right? I mean, he definitely so he's retired. He's in the Hall of Fame as a player. He's a pretty good coach. Had a pretty good coaching career. Won Super Bowl 40 with the Steelers. So coached another Super Bowl. And did he win Super Bowls as a player with Washington?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
he was part of that offensive line. I mean, that was the funny thing is that we had that. He was. That's why one of the reasons Washington won Super Bowls back then, because they had that great offensive line that he was part of, and then he was coaching on the Steelers where they had just a terrible offensive line after he left.
Todd Haley, he actually becomes head coach of the Chiefs for a couple seasons, but they never really had a quarterback. I think they have like Elvis Gerback or somebody, not Elvis Gerback. They had somebody horrible.
Tyler Palco for a while.
Yeah, I think they had Matt Castle.
Matt Castle. Yep.
Yeah, and he had Jamal Charles, who kept getting hurt, but that was their kind of the running back. He got fired because, like I said, I think Todd Haley just has a shelf life. He's a good coach, but he's so abrasive. So he comes to the Steelers, and he really makes Ben into a first ballot Hall of Famer with that great offense with Bell and Brown. Larry Fitzgerald, he has a great career, but he never that's his only Super Bowl. And it's a shame, like I said, he really deserved another Super Bowl run, and he's only played for the Cardinals. He to his credit, he never left Arizona. He stuck with them, and a great player. He's a Hall of Famer for sure. I don't think Bob Smisek doesn't have a Hall of Fame vote, so can't keep him out of that, can you, Bobby and Ron Cook? So good luck with that. Not that we're holding any grudges here or anything. Kurt Warner, he had a great game. He had a great game in 2009. He threw 5 touchdowns against the Packers that they won in overtime. He made the Hall of Fame. He probably should have 3 Super Bowl rings instead of just 1. He just ran into like 2 like legendary teams, and Tom Brady with the Patriots and Ben Roethlisberger with the Steelers. So, Kurt Warner, just kind of tough luck there, you know. Like you look at the way he played in the fourth quarter of those games, he really played like a champion. And he made plays, like he made that pass to Ricky Prohl, he made the pass to Isaac Bruce, and he made a pass to Larry Fitzgerald. And all those passes happened with less than 3 minutes to go in the Super Bowl. Right.
They should have won all 3 of those games.
Yeah. I mean, so. Kurt Warner's in the Hall of Fame, deservedly so. Dick LeBeau, he leaves his coordinator in 2014. I guess it was time to go in a different direction. He at 77, he told the Urbana, Ohio Daily Citizen that he was not retiring and he was actually resigning. I'm resigning this position, not retiring. I had a great run in Pittsburgh. I'm grateful for all the things that happened to me, and I'm thankful for all the support I had. Just time to make a break. He goes on to 2017. He coaches with Tennessee with Mike Mularkey. Then he retires in 2017. He's in the Hall of Fame, probably more as a coach than as a player. Bruce Arians, we really haven't talked about him much, but he was the offensive coordinator. And despite his success in Pittsburgh, he had his fair share of critics. He was more of like a gambling guy. He liked to take risks. And he instead of running, they would go for the deep pass. And that kept getting Ben hit. So, according to Arians, he got booed at the Super Bowl parade. And people were yelling at him, get a fullback. His kind of saying was no risk it, no biscuit, So, he had a stint. His comeback stint was with Indianapolis. He took over for Chuck Pagano, who actually had leukemia. And that gets him hired in where else? Where does Bruce Arians go to get his next head coaching job, Tim?
Yeah,
where
Arizona.
else but the Arizona Cardinals? They are in love with the Steelers organization. But he actually has a decent run. He gets in the playoffs, but his quarterbacks keep getting hurt. So I think draw play Drew, didn't he? From the kid from Michigan State got them to the playoffs one year.
Yeah.
So
Carson Palmer too. They had Carson Palmer for a while. Yep.
Yeah. He actually got hired with Tampa Bay in 2019. And then he got some guy named Tom Brady, and he won a Super Bowl with him. Then he had that whole falling out with Antonio Brown. And he retired, kind of went to the front office. And I don't know. I think he had a falling out with Tom Brady, and that's why he's in the front office. And I think Tom Brady's got to leave Tampa here or retire. Maybe he'll just retire. I don't know, after the season. I know, Tim, you had a different theory on that.
Yeah. I don't. Tom Brady will play like 10 more years and beat the Steelers like 10 more times. It was interesting what you said about the parade, because remember when Todd Haley was the offensive coordinator and so many people hated Todd Haley, then the criticism was, oh, you ran Bruce Arians out of town and now look what he's doing with the Cardinals, and he could have been your offensive coordinator, and why did the Steelers treat him that way? And it's like, you guys were booing him at the Super Bowl parade. It's amazing, like, how everybody hates the coaches until they're gone and replaced with somebody like we all wanted, but then we hate that guy so much that we pine for like the guy that we hated. You know what I mean?
Did you ever pine for Joe Walton? You're like, boy, that Joe Walton could really coach it. Bobby Brister could.
That might be the one exception. But
he's having this great career, Robert Morris. Come on, he's so well.
But everybody forgets that they hated Bruce Arians, right? And but then it's like when he's doing well with Arizona, it's like, oh, why did we ever get rid of that guy? It's like, oh gosh, I just people just have such short memories and they romanticize the past. They did that with Cowher too. So many people hated Cowher because he always lost big playoff games, but now he's a saint every time Tomlin screws up.
Yeah, I wonder why Cowher doesn't want to come back to coaching, Tim.
Yes.
So James Harrison, he actually plays until 2017. He bounced between the Steelers, Bengals, and Patriots. He never does win another Super Bowl. And if not for Santonio Holmes, he's probably Super Bowl MVP of Super Bowl 43. So, LeVar Woodley, he played on the Super Bowl 45 team and made 3 tackles. He plays with the Steelers in 2013. He goes to the Raiders for 1 year. And then, of course, where does he end up retiring? What team do you think he joins and retires from in 2015, Tim?
Some team in the desert.
Yeah, that would be the Arizona. Maybe it's like, where you go to retire when you're from Pittsburgh. Is that where we're going, Tim? We're going to go to Arizona and become Cardinals fans?
There could be worse. There could be worse places to go and worse teams to root for.
I think the new Bidwell, this Michael, seems to actually knows what he's doing. Well, except for that goofball coach he's got right now, but I digress. We'll save that for the Arizona Cardinals podcast. What happened to Ben Roethlisberger, Tim? He got an even bigger head if he didn't need one already, and he started acting like a total jerk. Had a bunch of sexual assault charges brought against him. He actually almost got traded to the Raiders. In 2010, he got suspended for 6 games, and that was for all the off-the-field stuff. He does clean up his act, but the damage had already been done. And I would say these charges pretty much haunt him for the rest of his career. And that pretty much ends like somebody was telling me Tom Brady already has like whenever Tom Brady retires, right? He has a broadcasting career with Fox, right?
Yeah, they already gave him a job for it's held.
Yeah. So like Ben couldn't have had something like that. Well, because of all his silliness and the way he acted, he's never going to have that. He gets to do a podcast with his friend in his basement. So, your actions have consequences sometimes. It is what it is. You got to live with your past sometimes.
What's wrong with doing a podcast with your friend in the basement?
It's I enjoy it, and it's good for a guy from Beachview. But maybe a Super Bowl winning quarterback might want to shoot their sights a little higher. I don't know. But maybe Stephen, there is no higher duty than podcasts in your basement. Right?
There you go.
Nothing is higher than that. So take that, Tom Brady, and your job at Fox. That's guaranteed for life. He did lose Super Bowl 45 to Aaron Rodgers, who's another guy who'll never get a job in the media. Can you ever see Aaron Rodgers do anything that isn't a podcast out of his basement? Maybe him and Ben can do a podcast out of their basements together. Professionally, Ben really did thrive under Arians, and the Steelers got rid of him. That was due to not protecting him. They hired Todd Haley, and Ben continues to develop into what he became. Santonio Holmes never did realize his full potential. He's another guy got into trouble with some embarrassing pictures of himself on the internet. He started taking naked pictures. And I'm just going to put this out there to all our young listeners out there. I'm not a woman, and I'm not claiming to be a relationship expert here, but I think I can safely say that there is no women on earth that ever want to see a naked picture of a dude. And that's probably not going to win you much. I mean, maybe if you've been together for a while, you want to spice things up, but early on in the relationship, I'm going to say no on those naked pictures. That sounds like sound relationship advice, Tim.
Yeah, that's not a way to win over somebody that you're getting to know and trying to get to like you. Yeah, that's usually not a good path forward. But Santonio,
I think Santonio got confused. That's what you like. That's not what they like. So, I digress. He also got in trouble, had to pay a fine. And something about he was involved in an assault case, domestic violence. My goodness. Never did really much with the Jets. He retired in 2014 with the Bears. I don't know what else to say about Santonio except he kind of flushed his career down the drain there. Seems like there should have been more meat on the bone with him there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Man, that 2008 season was just one of the best seasons anyone's ever had to this day in a Pittsburgh anything uniform, not just Steelers. And that was his third year in the league. So it just felt like there was so much potential ahead. And then, like you said, he was gone. That when they made the Super Bowl again 2 years later, he was on the Jets.
Yeah.
So it's a shame, but I mean, at the same time, we'll always have the 2008 season and that catch. Like he'll always be a legend in this town, just because of that.
What about Mike Tomlin? He has only gone to one Super Bowl since then, and he's never. The 2011 Tim Tebow game is kind of the end of his playoff success so far. I mean, at least since 2016, that other championship game where they got blown out by the Patriots, Tomlin hasn't even had that much success in the playoffs. So we can go into legacy and what ifs. The Pens would win a cup later that year, making two iconic plays in Pittsburgh sports history within the span of 5 to 6 months. So Pittsburgh has the Stanley Cup and the Super Bowl in 1 year. We're one of the few towns that could say that City of Champions. I think Tampa did that. Tampa did do that too. With Tampa Bay Lightning and the
Buccaneers. Yeah.
Once again, Tom Brady, boo hiss. Was that the pinnacle of these teams, the 2004 to 2011? Do you think they maybe should have another Super Bowl win in there, Tim? I don't know.
Maybe, but I mean, it's so hard to win Super Bowls, right? And I tried to, after this game, I tried to like soak that in and say, you know what, Steve, you and I, we weren't around for the 70s, or we were babies in the 70s. So we watched the Steelers for years and years and years and never got anything. Then they go on this great run in 2005, right, where they're the number 60, they win a Super Bowl. It's Bettis' last game. And then they come back 3 years later with a lot of different people and a different coach and everything. And then they win like the greatest Super Bowl ever on a last second play that we'll all remember for the rest of our lives. So I tried to remind myself at the time, like, what if they never win a Super Bowl again the rest of my life? Like, will I be happy? I mean, I wanted to remember to appreciate that, right? So yes, could they have won more? I think they could have, for sure. But man, I don't want to complain either, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was really hoping they would have won that third Super Bowl because I think they would have fit in like how the Washington team fits in the 80s. Like, they're not the 49ers, but they were still a really good team, and they won like 3 Super Bowls. So, where does this team fit in with the greatest teams of Super Bowl history? I think I've done this before. I ranked the Steelers Super Bowl teams. Super Bowl 13 over Dallas the second time. That's probably the greatest all-around Steeler team. I put this win second because of the tough schedule. Super Bowl 10 over Dallas, the first one, was third. Super Bowl 9 over Minnesota. They had a good defense but no offense. Super Bowl 40, Ben played so bad in that game, but they still won. I put that over Super Bowl 14 because that's almost like the same kind of game. Like, the Steelers pull it out over a Rams team that wasn't too great, but the Steelers were fading. They had to come behind to win that. Super Bowl 45 was the last hurrah of that Steelers dynasty. And of course, the Super Bowl 30 loss. That Steelers team was probably the weakest of all the Steelers teams that made the Super Bowl. And so in Pittsburgh sports history, how does it rate? I don't know. Where does it come up against the Maz home run, the Fleury save? Actually, the Fleury save happened, 3 months later? Mm-hmm. The Hornquist goal in the last minute at 2017 that won in the Immaculate Reception or the Ben tackle. I mean, like I said, you can only really point when you point to plays that won a championship. I mean, I don't know if the Fleury save is quite – because it's not – I mean, it preserved the championship, But like, I don't know, like the Mavs home runs in Game 7, that was do or die. This is definitely do or die if they don't. I mean, maybe they kick the field goal and go to overtime, but who knows? But I don't know. Where do you think, Tim? Is it up there with the Mavs? It's like kind of competing with the Mavs, a little higher than that flurry save? Or
I think so. Yeah, I think it competes with the Mavs home run because, I mean, they were losing it. The Mavs home run, the game was tied.
Yeah.
You know, and here they were losing. And yes, they're on the 7-yard line. They're probably gonna at least tie it, but there's no guarantee of that. You know, so they were losing the game with 43 seconds left. I don't know. I think that's, the Hornquist goal was tied. The Fleury save, we were in the lead. The Immaculate Reception was not a championship game, and the Ben tackle was not a championship on the line kind of game. So out of all those things you mentioned, I mean, you have to rate it pretty high because of the situation they were in. They were losing a championship game with, under a minute left when it happened.
Yeah. The Steelers, after this win, they had the most Super Bowl wins by a franchise at that time. And like, if you don't think that bothered the people that are up in Boston, think again. Why do you think Spygate happened, Tim? Exactly, because they were so desperate to catch up with the Steelers, they would do anything, and they have done anything to win. So there you go. Take that, Robert Kraft, and in your 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah, we showed him.
Matt Ryan. What is wrong with you, Matt Ryan? Once again, we'll save that for the Atlanta Falcons podcast. But thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. This is one of my favorite games of all time. I like Super Bowl 40 a little better just because it's like more like, I know it's not as good a game as this, but that was like, that was the one that put us over the top. But this is like definitely second, not far. And I wasn't alive for the 1960 World Series game. And I mean, those Penguins championships are really cool, but this was much more exciting, except for that game against Detroit, that Game 7 against Detroit. That was just nerve-wracking. That was more nerve-wracking than this was exciting. So
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoy our podcast. Check us out on the web. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook. Tim and I run those pretty frequently. Thank you. Give us a good rating, and word of mouth is always great. Tell your friends and family, anybody you think would be interested in reliving sports memories. There's lots of how many episodes are we up to now, Tim?
This is the 80th.
Wow, 80. So you have 80 other topics to choose, or 79 other topics to choose from. So thank you so much for sticking with us for this long, and we'll see you for many more in the future.